For the church to be relevant, it must be a seeking church. For the church to be relevant, that church must be a seeking church. I was talking a few minutes ago with one of my friends, and just talking about going to a new city or being present in a new town. It is my belief that I don't believe that I will be in a city for a year or two, at least maximum 2 years, and for the city not to know that something is happening in that city. I don't believe that I'll be in a city for 1 year or 2 years for the whole city not to come into movement, for the whole city not to be responding to the grace of God and the presence of the kingdom of God. I don't believe in that. I don't believe that the kingdom of God for real can be present in a place and for the whole country not to be talking, and for the whole country not to be counting with the kingdom of God's presence. So I wonder what happens when we have churches. We have thousands of churches, like in London, for example. I think of London. You have thousands of churches in London, in England, even in London itself, thousands of churches. And then you don't see any effect. You don't see any effect. You don't see any no tangible effect as such. Maybe among the foreigners, among the black people, yeah, you have some. But it's an indictment for a church to be in the society, or for so many churches to be in the society, and for you not to see the effect of it. Even in Africa, where you have so many churches, what is the effect in the economy? What is the effect in the society? What is the effect on the nation? You don't see the effect. 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 Even in America, some of the most, there were some statistics and there were some polls that were conducted somewhere in Dallas and Tulsa, because those were cities that claim to be the most Christian cities in America. The most Christian cities in America. Dallas, this was not now, this was some time back. Dallas and Tulsa. And you discover, and the journalists decided to go after those cities and conduct a poll and do an experiment. And the result of the experiment was they were trying to find out what cities have the highest rate of violations. Violations of the traffic, is it traffic violation, robbery, thefts, and just crime. And they discovered that those same cities took the highest position. They were the highest. They were some of the most. After it used to be New York, but New York went down. Then they took that poll because they had a good mayor in New York that fixed that, Giuliani something. So but when they went to those cities where they said they had too many Christians, majority Christians, nothing worked out. They had the highest number of crimes in those cities where they said they have more Christians. And then they decided to see how people were driving. They decided to see how people were driving. And they discovered that the cities where they said they were all born again, people were driving and having more driving violations than in other cities where people don't claim to be born again. So those are the kind of things that don't make unbelievers to take Christians serious. So they say this Christian thing is a joke. That this Christian thing is a joke. It's a joke. It's nothing. It's not changing anything. It's not changing lifestyle of the people, and the people's lifestyle is not being changed. And that's a pity right there. It just reminds me of the time that I went to Korea, because I thought, oh, Korea, wow, this is where Yonggi Cho's church is. I thought I'm going to go to the Korea and see Christianity everywhere. I couldn't believe it when I went to Seoul. Nothing reminded me of Christianity in the day. In the night, yes, you see the crosses on the buildings, the red crosses on the building, just cross. But with people, when talk to the real people, relating with real people, nothing reminds you of Christianity. Nothing reminds you of Christianity. So Christians have not been taught to carry God on a daily basis. Christians have not been taught to reveal God on a daily basis, to live for God on a daily basis, and to proclaim God on a daily basis. Christians have not been taught to live for the kingdom on a daily basis in everything they do. People just go to work and people just get busy. That's all the people do. You see, without the gospel of the kingdom, the church becomes irrelevant. The only thing that could make the gospel of the kingdom relevant is the gospel. I mean, the only thing that will make the gospel of the kingdom, the church relevant is the gospel of the kingdom. Only the gospel of the kingdom will make the church relevant. Only the gospel of the kingdom will make the church relevant. If we don't teach people to carry God on a daily basis, forget about it. Christians must be taught to be God carriers on a daily basis. Christians must be taught to reveal Christ on a daily basis. Christians must be taught to release the principles of the kingdom of God on a daily basis. Anywhere they are, wherever they find themselves, we must disciple Christians to be God carriers and kingdom imposers. Remember that. God carriers and kingdom imposers. Christians must carry God on a daily basis. They must know God personally for themselves. And they must be taught on how to release the principles of the kingdom of God every day. Be it at their work, be it in their families. But for some reason, for some funny reasons, Christianity has been reduced to a Sunday thing. A Sunday thing. That's wrong. Sunday is not the time when you practice Christianity. Sunday service or Sunday church going is the place where you get equipped so that from Monday to Friday, you'll be able to reveal Christ on a daily basis and on practical basis. So, like Jesus was living like that. And that's why the message of today is for the church to be relevant, it must be a seeking church. For this church to be relevant, the church must be taught to be a purposeful church. Purposeful in going after the world. Purposeful in seeking after the sinners. Purposeful in, going to subdue the earth for God. So the church must be a seeking church for it to be a relevant church. If we don't intentionally carry the kingdom of God, the principles of the kingdom of God, and if we don't intentionally teach and train our church members to carry the kingdom of God and to carry the presence of God with them everywhere they go, and to really see it as their life, to see it as their life, then we will never be effective. We will never be effective. I like what is written in John. I like the story. Let's check out the passage in John. John chapter 4. John chapter 4, 34 to 38. John chapter 4, 34 to 38. Chapter 4, verse 34 to 38. Okay, you know the story. When the disciples came to Jesus, it started with that story of the Samaritan woman at the well, discussing with Jesus. So while Jesus was busy discussing and talking with this Samaritan lady, the Christians, the believers, the disciples got bored. And they didn't understand what he was doing. They got so bored that they had to leave him to go eat. They couldn't understand the interest of Jesus in that poor lady. The lady, it was not interesting to them. They didn't feel that lady had anything to offer. So, so they were very bored. How could Jesus, a whole Jesus, Jesus himself, how could he be spending his time and wasting his time on some woman, promiscuous woman, a woman with 6 husbands? Or how many did she have? 6 husbands. None of them was even her husband. 6 men. Wow. So the disciples thought she was not worth wasting time on. She was not worth wasting time on. But Jesus had a different mentality, you see. Jesus was always after seeking. He was always after seeking out people. Everybody was important to Jesus. Everybody was important to Jesus. Everyone. So even the lady that was having 6 husbands, that none of them was really their legal husband, she was an interest to Jesus. Jesus took an interest in her. Jesus took an interest in her. And the disciples said, well, Jesus, if you want to spend time with that lady, we are gone. we take off. Because to them, their food was more important at that time. They needed to feed their stomach, you see. They needed to eat. You know, that's the way we behave sometimes. We don't regard men, we don't regard women, we don't regard ordinary people. We think they are not important enough to be spent time with. We think they are irrelevant. They are not important. They are not important. They just don't deserve our time. We'd rather go and play golf, or rather go to the restaurant and eat, or rather go and do some mundane things of life. So the disciples were demonstrating the same attitude that is common today, that is common to all of us in our world today. So they went to eat. Then, so they finished eating, and Jesus never came to meet them. I mean, they were shocked. I mean, we were expecting you to come catch up with us when we were eating. He never catched up with them. You know, he was so busy. Busy doing what with one woman? I mean, it's one thing to have 1,000 people before him. You know, he had crowd after him all the time. So it's one thing to be after the crowd and to get the mass of people there before him. That would have been nice. Yeah, and they could understand that. They would not have gone to eat. They would have stayed. I mean, if they had multitude of people. If there had been 10,000 people there, oh, they would have hung around. Because they like that glory, you see. Just like all of us, just like us. But when just one person, it doesn't seem to be nice. It doesn't seem to be worth it. But Jesus will spend such a quality time with one person as he would do with 10,000 people. You know, Jesus had a heart for people, you see. He had a heart for Jesus. He had a heart for people. You know, this is what the church is supposed to be doing. The church is supposed to teach the members and believers to have heart for people. Can you imagine if Christians will have heart for people like Jesus had heart for people? Can you imagine what will happen if we Christians will begin to have heart for people like Jesus had heart for people? Can you imagine what will begin to happen? Will you imagine how many millions will just be raking into the kingdom? You see, because Jesus had that philosophy, and his philosophy was right. I came to seek and save. Ah, brilliant. I have come to seek, to seek, to seek. Not to seek fame, not to seek significance, not to seek to be relevant, not to seek his own glory, but to seek and to save those that are lost. Not those that are comfortable, not those that are prosperous, not those that are successful, not those that are significant, not those that are popular, not those that are the movers and shakers of this world that control everything in this world. No, those that are lost. Those that are lost. Not those in the church, but those that are lost. Not the members of the church, but those that are lost. Not the good ones, not the ones that pay the tithe, but those that are lost. And what I heard today, you know, I've heard this for some time now. People tell me that there are some churches that the attention that you get from your pastor is directly dependent on how much money you can give. And I heard that. I've never seen that happen, so I cannot really say it's true, but I've heard it said so many times that it's incredible. That people will register your tithe and offering, and they will know how many people bring how much offering to the church or how much tithe to the church. And as a result of that, that now determines what attitude those pastors will have toward members of the church. In fact, somebody even wrote me a letter and said, you know what, I brought somebody to the church and I said, will you please pray for because she was having some crisis. I think the husband was leaving or something. And this lady brought the girlfriend. I said, will you pray for my boyfriend, for my girlfriend, for my friend? And I heard that this pastor, this lady is my house now. I mean, this lady says that the pastor actually told her to her face that lady that you brought, where does she take a tithe to? Where does she pay a tithe to? A tithe, where does she pay it to? That I would not pray for her because I'm not sure that she brings her tithe to this church. And since she's not bringing her tithe to the church here, I cannot pray for her because they use one pidgin some worry proverb, pidgin proverb that says, I think I cannot repeat it. I don't know how it's said, how they say it they use our Nigerian pidgin English to say. They say, is it like baboon they walk or monkey they walk, baboon they shop or something like that. Meaning like I will not be walking and then praying for the member of another person's church or something like that. So you cannot be taking your offering and your tithe to another church while I pray for you. So that man, that pastor refused to pray for this lady, this poor lady who just lost her husband. He would not pray for her because he was not sure she was going to be bringing the tithe and the offering to that church. Another story, somebody else told me and said, another person came to the church and was asking the pastor, will you pray for my kids and I have problem with my children and things like that. And the pastor said, what are you? I don't remember you. Are you a member of this church? And she said, no, I go to another church, but I'm coming from another town, so I came to a church today. And he said, no, I'm not going to pray for you because, if you want me to pray for you, you've got to join our church. You've got to join our church. If you cannot join this church, then I'm not going to pray for you. Can you believe that? Can you believe that? Can you believe that? I cannot believe still that happens because that's never happened to me. I guess it will never happen to me because I'm a pastor myself, but I just find it difficult to believe. I just think it's not true. I just think it's not true. But, too many people are telling me that it's true. So that is totally different from the Spirit of Christ. And what is the Spirit of Christ? That I came to seek. It was not even wait. In this case, people were coming to the pastors. In the case of Jesus, he was not even waiting for people to come to him. Can you imagine? He would not even wait for anybody to come to him. He would be seeking after them. He was so focused. And if we want our churches to be relevant in the 21st century, we must be people focused once again. We must be love focused once again. We must begin to be like Jesus. And we must teach not just the pastors and the leaders to be like Jesus, but we must begin to teach even every member of the church to be people focused and to just be like Jesus, that I have come to seek and to save those that are lost. To seek and to save. To seek and to save. To seek and to save. Can you imagine if every believer in every church would have that kind of mentality? If every Christian would be taught to live like that? If every believer will have that mindset to seek and to save. To seek and to save. To seek and to save. I can't believe it. To seek and to save. Can you believe it? To seek and to save. Every believer. You go out to work, you are looking for a way to seek and save somebody. You go to the store, you are looking for a way to seek and save somebody. You go to the bookstore, you are looking for a way to seek and save somebody. You go to the mall, you are looking for a way to seek and save somebody. Can you imagine why? Our world will be a new place. Our world will be another place. Our world will be a wonderful place. But if pastors are relating to people based on their status and based on their class, that's why we don't notice poor people. That's why we don't notice ordinary people. And that justifies the reason why Jesus will say, if you did not feed me when I was hungry, if you did not feed me when I was hungry, if you refused to feed, if you did not notice me when I was hungry, there's only one judgment for you. You go to that darkness. You don't have any option. The darkness is waiting for you, where there will be gnashing of teeth and eternal suffering. If you could not notice the hungry, and if you did not notice me when I was naked, if you could not notice the naked, if you could not notice ordinary, down and out, dejected people, if you will not pay attention to the down and out, if you will not pay attention to the least of this, if you will not do this to the least of this, if you will not pay attention to the least of this, you don't deserve to go to my heaven. I will not pay attention to you as well. If you will not pay attention to the least of this, you don't deserve for me to pay attention to you. You don't deserve the attention of heaven. Heaven's attention does not belong to you. And that's, it doesn't matter. I mean, he was talking to the Christians because the Christians were saying, Lord, what do you mean? I mean, Lord, do I call him Lord? Do I call him Lord? Lord, what do you mean? When did we see you hungry? I mean, we know you. We would have recognized you. No, they didn't know him because they didn't recognize people. They didn't recognize the least of this. Oh, I look at my country, Nigeria and Africa. I mean, you see all of them everywhere. Everywhere you see the destitute, you see the down and now, the poor, the outcast, the unlovable, everywhere. And we don't even notice them anymore. We don't notice them anymore. You don't even need to seek them. You don't even need to seek for them. They are there everywhere. You don't even need to seek for them. I mean, Jesus is talking about seeking. Okay, if you talk about the West, you could say, okay, you need to seek for people because, they are in their houses and people, you don't know who is living where, they're in their cars and their houses and nobody talks to anybody. But when you talk about Africa, you don't need to seek anybody. They are seeking for you. To go and seek. I'm come to come and seek. I have come. So the church, the purpose of the church, he created the church that the church will seek. We should be a seeking church. The church must be a seeking church. Seek and save. Seek and save. Seek and save. Seek and save. Seek and save the last. Seek and save the last. It's a pity that the pastors are no more doing this. Pastors are no more teaching or training people. Forget about the offering you can give. Forget about that offering. Forget about the tithe you can give. Forget about that thing. That's nothing. That's rubbish compared to the lives of people. That's why it was not after their tithe. It was not after their tithe. I tell you that one. I can guarantee that one. Jesus was not after anybody. It was not after anybody's tithe. It was not after anybody's offering. It was not. It was after their soul. It was after their soul, where they are going to spend eternity. That's what it was after. It was not after their tithe. It was after their soul. It was not after their tithe. It was after their soul. And this was a great lesson. This was a great lesson to Jesus' disciple this day. Because, he didn't come to... They thought he was going to catch up with it. He was going to do a quick, shabby job and finish with the lady very fast and send her away so that he could come and go and eat. He didn't do a shabby job. He didn't do a quick, shabby job. He would not do like that. He would not behave that way. He stayed with her. He stayed put with her. Until the disciples came back. They came back to meet him, still talking to the same lady. They couldn't believe it. They were shocked. Because they've never seen the significance and importance that is paid to an ordinary person, to one single person. So Jesus, they told him and said, we thought you've eaten. Have you eaten? We didn't see you eat. We didn't see you eat. When did you eat? He had something much more precious to Israel than food. He had something much more precious to Israel than material things. Why was Jesus not being carried away by material things? Because he knows this is not a place. We are not here to stay forever. This is not our home. We are not going to be here forever. He had a more enduring home. He knew that heaven is where our treasure must be kept. Our treasure must be kept in heaven. And the way to keep your treasure in heaven is to love people on earth. Is to live for people on earth. Is to live for people on earth. Is to live for people on earth. And give your life for people on earth. Is to invest your life in people. Invest your life in people. If you invest your life in people. If you will invest your life in people. If you will live for them like Jesus did. If you will spend your time with them. If you will, give your heart to them. Like Jesus was giving his heart to this Samaritan woman. If you will just invest yourself in women. In people. He said in women. There are men and women as well. In people. Just like Jesus did with that woman. Then you'll be having your treasure in heaven. You'll be having your treasure in heaven. You'll be having your treasure in heaven. And nothing can touch it. That's what Jesus said. Nothing can touch it. So they were coming to him and said, have you eaten? What's happening? Come and eat. And you know what he told them? I have a food to eat of which you do not know. You don't have an idea. You don't have an idea. You don't have an idea. You don't have an idea of what is food. We should love people as if we are eating. We should love people so much that it will give us so much satisfaction, like food gives us satisfaction. We should love people so much. We should give ourselves to people so much that we will be so much in love with people, and we will so much be willing to serve people, to minister to people, that it will be as if we are eating. It will be as if we are eating. God wants us to derive our satisfaction not just from physical things of this world. God wants us to derive our satisfaction not just from material things. If the only thing that satisfies you are material things, if the only thing that satisfies you are material things, if the only thing that satisfies you are the material things of this world, if the only thing that satisfies you are the material things of this world, oh, if the only thing that satisfies you are the material and physical things of this world, oh, what a danger. Oh, what a danger. Oh, what a danger, my friend. Oh, what a danger. Everything will burn in fire. Everything will burn in fire. Everything will burn in fire. You're going to lose it all. You're going to lose it all. You're going to lose it all. Put your treasure in heaven. Put your treasure in heaven. Satisfaction. You have greater satisfaction than the physical things of this world. You must have things that satisfies you beyond material things. You must have things that satisfies you beyond physical things. You must have things that satisfies you beyond food, bread, butter, money, physical things. You must have a higher degree of hunger. You must have a higher degree of hunger, whereby that the only thing that satisfies that the things you do for heaven and the things you do for people. Oh, the things you do for God and the things you do for people. The things you do for God and the things you do for people. Oh, the things you do for God and the things you do for people. They should be giving you the highest amount of satisfaction. They should be giving you the highest number of satisfaction. They should be giving you the greatest amount of satisfaction. And that's why you must test yourself and search your heart. What are the things that satisfy you most these days? If the things that satisfy you most are mainly physical things, family, children, and cars, money, success, I guess you might need to come back home. I guess you need to come back home. I guess a prodigal son is giving birth to right there. A prodigal son is giving birth to right there. If you are being satisfied more by the physical things of life, you have wandered away, my friend. You have wandered away. You have wandered astray. You've wandered astray. You've wandered astray. There should be more satisfaction. There should be more satisfaction. There should be greater satisfaction that you are deriving in just loving people. I'm not saying just in doing church right now. I'm not saying the satisfaction you are taking by people clapping for you and giving you the ovation and making you the hero. And when you are there on the stage and on the podium. Now that's the kind of satisfaction I'm talking about. I'm talking the satisfaction when you are like Jesus, just with one person. I mean, who was that one person? Was it a billionaire? A billionaire? Was he? An insignificant Samaritan woman. You know the way they castigated and despised Samaritan women and Samaritans in general and Samaritans? You know the way they despised them? Even with that despised individual, Jesus felt as if he was being fed. He was being fed. He called it his food. What man despises, God elevates. 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 And when I was being told that there are some churches in this world where they don't pay attention to down and outs, where they don't pay attention to the poor and the outcasts, where they don't pay attention to the non-significant members of the church. That is so much far away from what Jesus, the author and finisher of our faith, died for and what he came for. What Jesus came for were these particular people. He said he didn't come for the healthy, he came for the sick. He didn't come for the righteous, he came for the sinners. He didn't come for the rich, he came for the poor. And we are doing just the opposite. Can you believe in somebody? Can anybody out there believe that there are churches like that? And the funniest thing about all this is, some people still go to those kind of churches. Can you believe it? Somebody still goes to those kind of churches. People still go to those, and we have been so much blinded. We have been so much blinded. We don't even understand anything anymore. We have been so much blinded. We don't even know our left from our right anymore. We don't even know what is right or what is wrong anymore any longer. We don't even know what's wrong and right anymore. We just go to church anyway. We just go to church anyway. And we think these things are churches. We still call them churches. We still call those churches. We still call those churches. And you still call those pastors. Better run for your life. Better run for your life. Better run for your life. Because you will become like that soon. If you are not like that already. Maybe you're already like that. That's why you couldn't see the difference. That's why we need repentance, my friends. That's why we need repentance. So God, Jesus, called his time that he was spending with that Samaritan woman, he called that time his full time. Amazing. It's full time. Food time. That's what it's food time. That's what it's full time. Satisfaction comes from doing what really pleases the heart of God. Satisfaction, real satisfaction in this life comes when you are doing the things that pleases the heart of God. Real satisfaction comes when you are giving your life into doing things that gladdens the heart of the Father. Real satisfaction comes when you are spending your time and your life in putting up treasure for yourself in heaven. When you are piling up treasure for yourself in heaven, that's when real satisfaction comes. All other things are just fake, temporary. It's temporary, artificial satisfaction. So let's read further what Jesus said. Let's read further what Jesus said. Jesus said to them, my food, my God. Don't you love Jesus? I just feel like hugging him, somebody. I just feel like hugging Jesus right now. I just feel like touching him and hugging him. My food is to do. Jesus. We are so far from Jesus. Oh, we are so far from Jesus, my friend. We are so far from Jesus. We all need to get to discover Jesus afresh all over again. We all need to discover him all over again. We all need to discover him all over again. We all need to discover him all over again. So my food is to do the will of him who sent me. Has that become your food? Has that become your food? Has that become your food? That your food will be, that will be your primary concern. That will be your primary passion. That will be your passion. Your obsession, that's the word. That your obsession will be to do the will of the Father. Doing the will of his Father was Jesus' obsession. He was obsessed by it. And to finish his work. Wow. His only concern to do his will and to finish his work. To do his will and to finish his work. To do his will and to finish his work. To do his will and to finish his work. To do his will and to finish his work. Amazing. To do his will. To do his will. That was his possession. I mean, that was his obsession. That was his obsession. That was his obsession. To do his will and to finish his work. To do his will and to finish his work. He was obsessed by those two thoughts. Has his obsession become your obsession yet? Has his will become your obsession? Has his will become your obsession yet? To do and to finish his work. To do his will and to finish his work. Has that become your obsession yet? If you are like this, if a pastor is like this, and if you teach your members to be like this, you don't need to pray for revival anymore. You don't need to pray for revival one day. Revival will be all over you everywhere. You don't need to pray for church growth anymore. Church will be growing left and right. You will not know what to do with the people. If you will just make God's will your obsession, to finish his work, if they put the desire to finish his work will be your obsession, your desire, your heart desire, your passion, your focus, your priority. There's nothing like it, my friends. There's nothing like it. My food is to do the will of him who sent me and to finish his work. If you have your Bible, go and take your Bible. I want to prove to you right now that it is not only right to give your tithe, to use your tithe for, to use your tithe for the poor and for acts of love. But I want to prove to you that it is even more important to use your money for the acts of love than to take it to church. Your tithe must first of all be used. Must be designated. Your tithe must be designated for the acts of love than for church. Your tithe is to take it to church is only in case you believe in that church and you see what the church is using it for, and you see that the church is using it to do something that you believe in. If that's not happening, you don't need to take your tithe to church. You should use your tithe to do good works, and let me prove that to you. Take your Bible, everybody. Take your Bible, everybody. Take your Bible. Okay, if you have taken your Bible, I'm going to read from Matthew 23. Or you remember this, because you have to have something to answer those pastors who are telling you that tithes must only be brought to the church, okay? You've got to have an answer for them. Matthew 23, let's read verse 23. Jesus was rebuking the Pharisees because they were just like this. They were thinking just like the generations of pastors that we have today. And what the Pharisees were saying they were saying just like us. And look at how Jesus said it. He said, "Woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, you are all hypocrites, for you pay tithes." You see, he's talking about tithes here. "For you pay tithe of mint and anise and cumin," whatever they had, "and have neglected the weightier matters of the law." So tithe, it belongs to the law, but there are some things that are weightier than tithe. And what are the weightier matters of the law? Justice. Seek justice for people who are oppressed. Show mercy to the people who are unfortunate, who are poor, who are destitute. And display your faith. Take your faith to other people. So justice, mercy, and faith are heavier matters, are weightier matters. So if you are even going to use tithe, you should use it to seek justice. You should use tithe to do mercy. Acts of love are more important. Weightier matters means they are more important than tithe. It doesn't say you shouldn't pay tithe. But when you want to pay tithe to God. The most important thing is that you are not keeping tithe to yourself. Use it for the weightier matters. It didn't say take it to the church here. Use it to do justice. Use it to do mercy. Use it to pursue faith. Use tithe for the weightier matters. If you want to use your money or your energy, use your money and your energy for the weightier matters. He said you are giving tithe and using it to brag and say that you have done your religious duty. You should rather do the weightier matters. He didn't say cancel tithe. He didn't say don't pay tithe. But you don't pay tithe to somebody. You don't pay tithe to church. You don't pay tithe necessarily unless you believe in that church and you see what they're doing. But use tithe to pursue the weightier matters of the law, which is justice, mercy, and faith. This you ought to have done without leaving the other undone. So it's a blind guide who strain out on gnat and swallow a camel. He said, blind. He said, you people are blind. You are not even thinking. And I'm thinking Jesus would have said the same thing just today, that you people are blind believers, blind pastors, blind guides, blind. You are blinded. You are blinded by your deception. You are using the tithe just like the same old Pharisees were using the tithe as a justification. Oh, but I pay my tithe. What else do you want? I pay my tithe. That is exactly what they were doing. They were flaunting their tithe. But I pay my tithe. I pay my tithe. I pay my tithe. Oh, you must pay your tithe. Everything was all about my tithe, their tithe. Why? Because they needed to survive. They were using tithe as a way of feeding themselves, as a way of surviving. And Jesus said that is not even the weightier matters of the law. And that's what we are doing in the church today. We are saying we are paying our tithe. So since I'm paying my tithe, I don't need to go and visit the poor. Since I'm paying my tithe, I don't need to go and feed the poor. Since I'm paying my tithe, I don't need to go and clothe the naked. I don't need to go to prison. I don't need to go to the hospital. I don't need to go and do the weightier matters of the law. And Jesus is saying, even though you are paying your tithe, this is not even as important as the weightier matter of the law. So what are the weightier matters of the law? I was naked, you did not clothe me. I was hungry, you did not feed me. I was thirsty, you did not give me water. I was in hospital, you did not visit me. I was in prison, you did not come to see me. Those are the weightier matters of the law. If there is anything to be done, if there is anything to devote your tithe and offering to, it is to this thing. Let me show you another scripture. Deuteronomy chapter 12. Verse 12, verse 11 and 12, Deuteronomy. Actually, in the Old Testament, the storehouse is supposed to be for the poor. The thing that are put in the storehouse is supposed to be used for the poor and destitute. Deuteronomy 12, verse 11. He said, then there will be the place where the Lord your God chooses to make his name abide. There you shall bring all that I command you. Bring it to the place that I command, your burnt offerings, your sacrifices, your tithes, the heave offerings of your hand, and all your choice offerings which you vow to the Lord. Bring them to the place that I command. What for? And you shall rejoice, okay? Sorry. So you shall bring all those places to where God will say, so that the Levites will enjoy it, will take part of it, but not just the Levites. He's also talking about, verse 12, female servants, male servants. Okay, let me just read verse 12. And you shall rejoice before the Lord your God, you and your sons and your daughters, your male and female servants, and the Levite. So you must use the tithe and offering and everything to rejoice together with your household. So you must use tithe and offering to take care of your household. Then you must use it to take care of your male servants and female servants, and then the Levites. So the tithe and offering is not just for the Levites. And when you talk about the storehouse, the place he commands, he's not even calling it storehouse here. He's saying the place that he commands. This is the Old Testament where it was commanded. And it should be used to do a feast for your household. So the tithe, your tithe must be used and spent on your household. It must be used to be spent on servants. Those are the disenfranchised people in the society. And then for the Levites. And why the Levites? The Levites were not working. They were only serving in the church. That is why they were also in that number. So church is just part of the people that have a share in the tithe, not just for them. Not just for them. It's for everybody. It's amazing the way we have just manipulated the Bible and we have just polluted the truth of God's word. Polluted the truth of God's word. So the tithe must be used to take care of the disenfranchised people in the society. They must be used to take care of the poor, the underprivileged, and the people who are, those are the weightier matters of the law. What is the scripture I'm reading? The scripture I'm reading is Deuteronomy 12, verses 11 and 12. Deuteronomy 12, verses 11 and 12. Actually, you can read it from 11 to 14. So it says, take heed to yourself that you do not offer your burnt offering in every place that you see, but in the place which the Lord chooses in one of your tribes. So he's saying where the needs are. There you shall offer your burnt offering, and you shall do all that I command you. So it's not always in the church, you say. And the other place that I read was yes, this is Deuteronomy 12, 11 to 12 to 14, and then the other place was Matthew 13, 13. Matthew 13, 13. So don't let people we have become the Pharisees of today. We are now saying we have paid the tithe, we have paid the tithe, we have paid the offering, and that's all. And Jesus said that's exactly the problem. You think you have an excuse because you have paid the tithe, but you are not paying it the way I say you should do it. You should be using the tithe for the weightier things of the law. And what is that? Acts of kindness, mercy, justice. Those are the things that are heavier. They are heavier, weightier things of the Lord. They are weightier and more important than tithe. But in churches today, tithe has become the cornerstone problem. Question is the only thing we are talking about. And if you don't do your tithe, as if you are backsliding, and only the people who do their tithe are the ones that are honored. So it's a pity that we have gone so far from God. We have become like the Pharisees these days. It's just a pity. It's just a pity. It's absolutely ludicrous. And so let's set people free from religious bondage, and let the freedom of God come and take over His church. I know, as a pastor, I'm saying this as a pastor. I know pastors will not like this, but it's better for God to like it than for people to like it. Let's just speak the truth.